my life where God literally brought me to my knees. That was during a time where we were really happy, and I was married and I had a little boy, and we just gave birth to our second son, Ty, and we had our beautiful first son, Nathan, and we were about to move into our brand new home when tragedy struck our family.
My life started out kind of unusual. My parents were both dead by the time I was 7 years old. I grew up in a home with relatives where there wasn't any love. There was no affection, there was no touching. It was just, you were there. I grew up very hostile.
I never had Christ in my life. I had a wife and started to have a family. I was in a position in my life where I was living on pain meds and taking them responsibly. That responsible act started to spiral out of control. Started taking them for maintenance and not for pain, and it started to affect my marriage and me as a father.
We gave birth to our second son, and he was 5 months old, and my husband Dan was holding him in his arms when he went to sleep and stopped breathing. And it was a really hard time and moment, because right before our eyes, it felt like a boulder just crashed down on our family life as we knew it, and everything changed. Everything went from beautiful to black in a moment.
Time went on and my family didn't get any better. So by the time I was 18 years old, I was ready. I was so ready to move on with my life. Got married and became a mother within a year, and my life began to spiral in every different direction you can imagine. I kept trying to fight this feeling, a feeling like, who am I? Where do I belong? Do I have a purpose? I didn't feel like I did. I didn't feel like I was important. I felt like I was just there to be used by other people.
When Ty died, I got up and started swinging, and my husband sat down and died with him. And he started drinking really heavily, and I lost my partner. It was at that point where I decided that I was going to take control of my life, keep going. And I didn't include God in that keep going. I decided that in order to feel okay, I had to drink wine, and I wanted to be numb. So when I stopped moving, I would drink so that I would shut down. And, and I kept saying, I got this. I got this, God. But I didn't have it at all.
Got into a few car wrecks in consecutive days, and they're all based on some kind of substance. And during that time, I came home to a wife that was upset, and family members disappointed. And the thought that there's a chance in the future that I won't be there for my children. So I knew that I needed some help.
I didn't want to live anymore. I felt myself breaking down. I felt like there was nothing and no one there for me. So I contemplated suicide. I didn't tell anyone, but I did plan it. I planned hitting a tree head on. And it was a plan that I guess God really knew what was happening, because the day that I was supposed to do it, a friend spoke into my life. She spoke to me about the Lord. And I told her, you're talking to the wrong person. I spent hours with her. And at the end of that time, I accepted the Lord. I accepted that the cross was the way for me.
And God was starting to put roadblocks at every corner in my life. I realized at that moment that I could not do this on my own. And it was that moment that I decided to walk into Lifecoast Church. And I just remember the feeling I got when I walked in there, and everyone was happy and smiling, and it was such a great and awful moment for me because I realized how desperate I was at that time in my life. And I just remember realizing for the first time in my life that it wasn't about church, it was about the relationship that with God, and just knowing that I needed Him and realizing how desperate I was as a human person, that I couldn't do this on my own. And when I decided consciously making that decision and knowing that God was the reason that I was even where I was that moment, was the moment that I decided to look up. And that is when my life changed.
My way wasn't working. My wife had been invited to Lifecoast while I was gone, and liked it. And she wanted me to be a part of it. So for my wife's sake, I went and felt welcome and warm, and it wasn't what I expected. I wasn't judged. I was accepted. There was a message that was given one day by Pastor Jeff, and it really connected with me. And at the end of the message, he asked for those that would like to let Jesus into their life to please say this prayer. So, by myself and in silence, I said this prayer in my head, and I allowed Jesus into my life.
God started to take over my life and lead me, through many experiences with CR and through Christ and through prayer and through the right people, that God opened my eyes to His way. And it was then where I started to realize that I'm not alone and I don't have to do this on my own, and that He has just transformed my life and my family 360 degrees. It's just amazing to see.
I have God in my life. I have a purpose in my life. I have an awesome family. I have awesome kids and grandkids and even great-grandkids. And I found that the cross of Christ is the place that gave me new life.
I look at my life now, and I couldn't be happier. My marriage is better than ever. My priorities in life are better than ever. It's brought the joy back in my life, and for that I'm so grateful. And all I had to do was let the Lord work in me.
My name is Melanie, a faithful believer in Jesus Christ, and this is my cross experience.
I'm Elaine, and this is my cross experience.
This is Josh, and this is my cross experience.